Maria encountered the insult without saying a single word, simply closed the cash drawer and began to wait. But the phone call she would make after leaving the market would become a lesson those customers would never forget. The morning shift at Riverside Market started like any other Tuesday. Maria Gonzalez adjusted her name tag and took her position behind Register 3, the same spot she'd worked for the past 6 months. At 34, she moved with quiet efficiency, her dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail, her uniform crisp despite its age. To everyone around her, she was just another cashier, invisible, replaceable, forgotten the moment their receipts printed. She didn't mind the anonymity. It served her purpose perfectly. The trouble began at 2:47 p.m. when 3 women approached her register, their designer handbags clicking against the counter as they unloaded their cart. The leader, a blonde in oversized sunglasses, looked Maria up and down with undisguised contempt. "Excuse me," the woman snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "I need someone who actually speaks proper English. Where's your manager?" Maria continued scanning items, her movements steady and calm. "I can help you with whatever you need, ma'am," she replied, her accent barely noticeable. The blonde woman's friend, a redhead with too much makeup, laughed harshly. "Did you hear that accent? I bet she doesn't even have a high school education. Why do they hire these people? Probably here illegally," added the third woman, not bothering to lower her voice. "Taking jobs from real Americans who actually deserve them." The words hung in the air like poison. Other customers turned to stare, some looking uncomfortable, others nodding in agreement. Maria's fingers paused over the scanner for just a moment before resuming their rhythm. "That'll be $127.83, she said quietly, her voice betraying nothing. The blonde woman slammed her credit card on the counter. "This is exactly what's wrong with this country. They put any uneducated immigrant behind a register and expect us to be grateful." "I heard they can't even do basic math," the redhead chimed in. "Probably can't even read the prices properly." Maria processed the payment in silence, her face a mask of professional calm. But something shifted in her posture, a subtle straightening of her shoulders, a slight tilt of her chin that suggested steel beneath the surface. "Your receipt," she said, extending the paper with steady hands. The blonde woman snatched it away. "Next time, get someone qualified to serve paying customers. Some of us actually contribute to society." As the trio walked away, their laughter echoing through the store, Maria did something unexpected. She didn't call for her manager. She didn't defend herself. She simply closed her cash drawer with a soft click and began to wait. Her shift ended at 3 p.m., exactly 13 minutes away. The store manager, a tired-looking man named Dave, approached her register. "Everything okay, Maria?" "I heard there was some kind of incident." "Nothing I can't handle," she replied, her voice still calm, still professional. "I'll be finishing my shift now." "You sure?" "Because if customers are giving you trouble—" "I'm sure, Dave. Thank you." She gathered her purse, a simple black bag that had seen better days, and walked toward the exit. The 3 women were still in the parking lot loading their groceries and continuing their conversation about the problem with these people. Maria reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. It wasn't the cheap prepaid device most would expect a grocery store cashier to carry, but an expensive smartphone with multiple contacts that could change lives with a single call. She scrolled to a contact labeled Dr. Harrison and pressed dial. "Hello, darling," came the warm voice on the other end. "How was your day?" "Interesting," Maria replied, her voice finally betraying a hint of emotion. "I think it's time we discussed that donation you've been considering for the literacy program. The one at Riverside Community College? I thought you said they needed funding for their ESL classes." "They do, but I was thinking we might want to make it more public. Maybe hold a press conference. Invite the local news." There was a pause. "What aren't you telling me, Maria?" She watched as the 3 women struggled with their shopping cart, the blonde woman yanking at it in frustration when the wheel stuck. "Some people at the market today reminded me why education and compassion matter so much. I'd like to make sure everyone in the community understands that." "I see. Should I assume this is related to your little social experiment?" Maria smiled for the first time all day. "You know me too well, James." "Very well. I'll have my assistant set up a press conference for tomorrow afternoon. And Maria, I'm proud of you for maintaining your composure. I know it can't have been easy." "It wasn't, but it was worth it." The next day, Riverside was buzzing with activity. Local news vans lined the street outside the community college as Dr. James Harrison, the university's most respected president, announced a $2 million donation to fund educational programs for immigrants and working-class families. "My wife," Dr. Harrison said to the gathered crowd, his arm around a woman in an elegant dress that transformed her completely, "has spent the last 6 months working incognito in various service positions throughout our community. What she discovered about how we treat our most vulnerable residents has been enlightening." The cameras flashed as Maria stepped forward to the microphone, no longer the invisible cashier, but revealed as Dr. Maria Harrison, holder of 3 doctoral degrees and co-founder of the Harrison Foundation for Educational Excellence. "Yesterday," she began, her voice carrying clearly across the crowd, "3 women at Riverside Market made assumptions about me based on my appearance and my job. They called me uneducated, assumed I was here illegally, and suggested I was taking opportunities from more deserving Americans." The crowd murmured, recognizing the implications of her words. "I want to be clear, there is no shame in working as a cashier or in any honest job. But there is shame in treating another human being as less than yourself because of assumptions rooted in prejudice." The news coverage was immediate and widespread. By evening, social media was buzzing with #CashierRevelation, and the 3 women from the market had been identified and were facing the consequences of their viral moment of cruelty. The blonde woman, Jennifer Matthews, was a real estate agent whose clients began canceling appointments after seeing the coverage. The redhead, Sandra Collins, worked at a bank that quietly suggested she take a leave of absence. The third woman, Patricia Reynolds, discovered that her country club membership was under review, but Maria wasn't finished. The following week, she returned to Riverside Market, not as an employee, but as herself. The Harrison Foundation had just purchased the struggling chain and planned to implement employee education benefits and sensitivity training. She found Jennifer Matthews in aisle 7, hiding behind oversized sunglasses and a baseball cap, clearly hoping to avoid recognition. "Excuse me," Maria said quietly, approaching the woman who had called her uneducated just days before. Jennifer looked up, her face paling as she recognized Maria. I didn't know. I'm sorry. You didn't know because you didn't ask," Maria replied, her voice gentle but firm. "You saw what you expected to see and reacted based on prejudice, not facts." "I'm not a racist," Jennifer stammered. "I was just having a bad day, and having a bad day doesn't excuse treating another person as less than human," Maria interrupted. "But it can be a starting point for learning to do better." She reached into her purse and pulled out a business card. "The Harrison Foundation is offering free sensitivity training and cultural competency courses. I'd like you to consider attending." Jennifer stared at the card, her hands shaking slightly. You're offering to help me? After what I said?" "I'm offering you a chance to grow," Maria replied. "What you do with it is up to you." As she walked away, Maria reflected on the past week. The revelation had brought consequences for those who had chosen cruelty over kindness, but it had also opened doors for dialogue and change. Her phone rang as she reached her car. It was Dave, the store manager from her time undercover. "Dr. Harrison? I mean Maria? I just wanted to call and apologize. I should have stepped in when those customers were harassing you." "Dave, you couldn't have known who I was. That's just it. It shouldn't have mattered who you were. You were my employee, and I should have protected you regardless." "You're right," Maria said, "and that's exactly the kind of thinking we want to encourage through our new training programs." 3 months later, Riverside Market had become a model for respectful customer service and employee dignity. The story had spread nationwide, sparking conversations about hidden bias and the assumptions we make about others. Maria returned to her position at the university, but she never forgot the lessons learned during her time behind the register. She had proven that respect isn't earned by status or education. It's owed to every human being simply by virtue of their humanity. And sometimes the most powerful response to cruelty isn't anger or retaliation. Sometimes it's the quiet dignity of someone who knows their worth and chooses to use their power to educate rather than destroy. The 3 women who had mocked her that Tuesday afternoon learned that appearances can be deceiving, words have consequences, and the person you underestimate today might just be the person who determines your tomorrow.